Hello, my loves. Welcome to Soul Love. I'm Mafalda, and this channel is all about the twin flame phenomenon, divine union, and soul reunification. And I don't shy away from the real talk, the real work that we're called into once activated on this journey. Welcome back if you've been here before. I very much appreciate all your support and the suggestions you give me of topics to address. And I'm just ever more excited to keep showing up and keep transmitting the wisdom that wants to come through me as I merge with the one, the great beloved divine consciousness, cosmic consciousness itself. So, without further ado, let's dive into the topic of this particular video. This video is a part of a 3-video series that I'm doing on energetic mastery. And this is just such a key component of this journey for both split soul twins and monadic twins, whatever type of journey you've been activated on, because it really calls us to step into the practical role of working with energy, regardless of your field of work or the career you have. But in order to stabilize on this journey and come into soul alignment, you are consistently and continuously pushed to learn how to work with energy. And especially for those of us on a monadic twin flame journey, or for those of us that had experienced multiple awakenings prior to this particular initiation through meeting our other self, especially for us, it's a call to really step into this work from a deeper, more expansive perspective, because you might not have been new to energy work, but this is another level. You are called to truly activate your multidimensional power and awareness, because you're being acutely asked to access more and more and more of your capacity on all levels. So that is in part why this journey is so intense, because when you add another being here on Earth, a planet that has physical density, it intensifies, it magnifies, better said, the energetic aspect of it. So let's start with this intensity of the energetic connection. And you will have felt it if you truly are on a twin flame journey. You will have felt it upon meeting your twin. You will feel energy surges. And energy itself can be felt mostly. Of course, there are some of us that have the gift of clairvoyance and can see energy. But most of all, energy is sensed. It is felt. Why? Because it exists beyond our 3D reality and awareness. It exists beyond the 5 senses. Hence, why our clear senses and our psychic abilities and our spiritual gifts are expanded and activated further on this journey, because we are growing into or expanding into a level of perception that goes beyond the 3D reality. And again, you may have already experienced this prior to being initiated on a journey like this one, but this just takes it to the next level. And so you start to sense this energy, and it happens very intensely with your twin, because you carry the codes for each other's activation, especially if you're a monadic twin, a primary monadic twin that originates from that same monad structure or clock, so that has not split further. So you're literally coming from one soul in the 13th dimensions and above. It just takes the energetic experience that you're having to a whole new level, although you may, of course, experience energy and energy surges with other people in your life, situations, people, places, things. But this is so intense that it makes it very obvious. It's almost like trying to call your attention. Hey, there's other dimensions of this life that you're being asked to address and to master. And so that's why it throws you off so much at the beginning, because you're being asked to understand what it means to come into energetic neutrality, stabilization, etc. And once you start to pay attention, you will feel the energy in your body. You will start to have experiences that don't fall within the realm of the mental, physical, emotional body, but expand beyond. And this is the invitation. And this is a process of mastery. It's not about learning cognitively or intellectually what this is about from one day to the next. It's about experiential embodiment. You go through it personally, you live it until you integrate this level of awareness and you transform it into the power to be able to influence the energetic field around you. So once you meet your twin, there is that shared energetic field that comes online because you are quantumly entangled. And what that means is that you are connected beyond time and space, because the 13th dimension, where you originate from as one soul, as one entity, or even if you're a split soul above the fifth, there is no time and space. Therefore, there is no physical distance in the way that we experience and perceive it in the 3D realm. And so once that comes online, you start to experience the energetic and spiritual realms in a much more personal way. And so this is all a process of learning how to master that. So first of all, learning how to perceive and acknowledge energy, spiritual energy, mental energy, emotional energy, and then learning how to transmute it, because energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be transformed. And so our vessels, our human vessels, become I was going to call it a device for lack of a better word, but we become this transmutation vessel, so that what's coming in, the intensity of the fear or the anxiety or the doubt, that energy can be felt. And through our own awareness, through our own conscious intention, we learn how to neutralize it and transform that into power, transform that into unconditional love that isn't grasping, that isn't chasing. Because many times, let's say we're on this journey and we're in the initial stages, and let's say there's a situation in the 3D where our twin rejects us or doesn't answer a message, or we feel like we're going to lose them. What we feel is that surge of energy. And yes, it may come in the form of thoughts or emotions, because everything is energy. So the thoughts carry energy, the emotions carry energy. And instead of learning or instead of transmuting that energy, we let ourselves be overtaken by it. So we either chase or we loop or we obsess or we distract or we numb or we avoid because we don't actually know yet how to become that transmutation vessel, to take in that anxiety or that fear or that grasping or whatever remnant of wounding or karmic entanglement is showing up in our energy field, and transform it into neutrality, into peace, into love. And that's why every trigger, every situation is an invitation to come into deeper mastery. And that's why it's a process, because our human vessels need to, on the one hand, clear enough of the distortion that's in the way for our harmonious functioning, because that's our original template, is to have that level of power and clarity and alchemical abilities. We're restoring that. So yes, so on the one hand, we need to clear enough of the distortion that's in the way. And on the other hand, our whole vessels, our whole system is adjusting and recalibrating to hold higher voltage. It's to hold more energy, to hold higher frequencies, higher vibrational frequencies that unlock these abilities as well. So again, this is a process, and it asks us to come into our own sovereignty, our own empowerment of realizing that we have what it takes. We have those answers within us. We might need some guidance and some help. And of course, it can be useful to seek out healers and coaches, etc. But those that always point you back in the direction of taking charge of your own process, coming into your intuitive knowing, your intuitive abilities, your own mastery. And this process of energetic mastery is such an integral part of this journey, because it's applied to all the healing sides of the journey as well, because we need to transmute stuck energy. And that goes again for emotions, for conditioning, for limiting beliefs, limiting belief systems that we've carried within our mind, body, spirit complex for lifetimes upon lifetimes upon lifetimes. And the intensity of having met another being, another body, another person that brings all of that out so intensely that you're experiencing so many different types of expansive moments and situations, both in your awareness, your multidimensionality, the wounds that it brings up. It's designed in this way so that you will, in one way or another, come into that mastery, because it's so intense, it's so acute, it's at times so brutal that it almost leaves you no other chance. And this is actually one of the ways that you can learn to identify truly if you are on a twin flame journey, because if it falls away eventually, once you start doing this work, then it wasn't your original counterpart or even your split soul twin. Because that type of connection, this type of connection cannot be severed. You move closer and closer and closer to one another as you progress and as you master your energy and you master energy in general. So it's actually an incredibly expansive journey that really calls us into massive amounts of growth, and it opens up a world of possibilities and dimensions that had previously been unseen or locked to us. No matter how much work we had done already, how many abilities we had unlocked, So it's truly an invitation to become the master of our energetics. And I will go deeper into this topic in videos 2 and 3, but I wanted to leave you with an overview of this process of learning about energy and the importance of coming into that neutrality, neutrality. So learning to read energy. And this will happen not only with your twin, although your twin is the greatest catalyst or trigger for that, but this will happen across the board. So rooms that you enter, your relationships with your family, coworkers, friends, any situation in your life that you start to perceive what's underneath the words. You start to perceive the energy field. And this will be unique to each and every individual because we are in a human vessel. And so we have uniqueness in how we translate energy. That will be the different gifts that come online for you. And again, this is a process because you're learning how to work with it, whether it's in the dream space, whether it's through intuition, psychic abilities, whether it's through clairvoyance, whatever it is that's starting to come online for you. But this is, like I said, an integral part of the journey that can actually be quite exciting because it's meant to happen. And the more you lean into it, the more power you are able to reclaim. And so, just to wrap this up, as you progress then on the journey, what you'll notice is the more you come into this energetic mastery, the less you'll be thrown off by anything that's happening in the 3D with your twin or with anybody else, because you become that transmutation vessel. Whether or not they answer a text, whether or not they reach out, whether they're silent, whether they are seeing somebody else, whether they reject you, you start to see it as an invitation to come into deeper and deeper and deeper stability and peace within yourself as you're retrieving your own, not just wholeness, but your own divinity. And that's how you start to rise and to unlock more of what's available to you in life through this body. And one of the things that I think is really crucial in this is this role of the architect. So you're no longer feeling like life is happening to you, where you're in the lower levels of the victim perpetrator paradigm, where life happens to you because you're separate from it. But once you start to recover enough of your divinity and you're operating from unity consciousness, you start to see how much of a feedback loop there is with the field. So how much you can actually influence what's happening, not from an egoic perspective or standpoint, but from the level of the soul, from the higher self that you start to gain more and more and more access to. And so you recognize the role that you are playing in the reality that's appearing before your eyes. So you don't feel as attacked personally because you know that you're playing a role in actually building it, in constructing it. And that's where the mastery comes from, because it's from this level of lived experience, from this level of embodiment, not just the intellectual realization that reality is more holographic than we've been taught to believe, or the intellectual realization that you can co-create your reality, but you start to live it. You start to experience it. All right, so that's it for this one. I hope this has brought you some insight and clarity. As I said, this is the first video in a 3-video series, so I will be diving deeper into this topic of mastering the energetics of this journey. Stay tuned if this is something that you're called to come into. And don't hesitate to look into the offerings and the services I have below. It's absolutely my calling and mission to assist other twins and to assist other beings in general on their spiritual journeys and paths. And I have a variety of services and offerings available. And I also added the womb, heart, throat axis restoration, quantum healing transmission that I channeled last month, that is incredibly potent for divine feminines to restore those templates, to clear any remnants of abuse, betrayal, grief that are in the way from activating this creative power that lies within our wombs, and to seal the energy field from any energetic interference, any old karmic loops and wounding that may be siphoning your energy, your creatrix life force energy. And then, of course, with connecting it through the heart and the throat, so that you can come and embody your medicine, your voice, and start to share whatever is unique to you, what you have to contribute on this journey, because that's why we're here, especially as monadic twins. It's not just about our personal journeys, it's about how we show up for the collective and how we participate in this mass awakening that's taking place, and the transformation of Earth itself as a planet, bringing it back to the original 5 to 6D vibrational frequencies, where we can live in harmony, abundance, and in the knowing, the embodied knowing that we are all interconnected, returning those templates of the service to self. So do check that out if you're interested, if you feel called to, and let me know in the comments if you resonate with this message, with this transmission. I always love to hear from you, and I appreciate your contribution and your presence here as I am slowly and sustainably, but very intentionally growing this channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I send you all so much love. Thank you, thank you, thank you.